today I'll tell you which cabin filter is better and which isn't, which is more profitable, as well as how to make your glove compartment cool from the air conditioner if there is no connecting tube. Before we start replacing the cabin air filter, let's decide, or at least get an idea, what kind of filter one can and should buy. Look, there is a site after review that's pretty popular. Overall, it's probably trustworthy. But I'll start with the negative right away. Firstly, to trust the data, even that from well-known publishers, is a moot point. Yes, auto review, like Zarulem, is definitely not the least media resource in the CIS, but there are never any guarantees that the test results are honest. You can't guarantee that someone didn't have their own vested interests, and even more trivially, that this test data is more than 5 years old. And even if we assume that the tests are as honest as possible, the results are honest. In 5 years, the suppliers of raw materials, technical standards, and even the technology itself, other equipment could have been purchased, so the test data, I'll leave it whether to trust them or not, that's everyone's personal business. So, if you trust behind the wheel, the best cabin filters are RAF and MAN. You can also purchase Fram, while most common filters are Bosch and Corteco. If you trust Auto Review, the best filters are Bosch and MAN. And behind the wheel asserts that Bosch is average, RAF is very weak and should not be bought, yet behind the wheel insists it should be bought. Overall, the subject is quite ambiguous. The readings vary, and for my personal use, I have decided to pick something moderate and rely on probably my own intuition because no one here instills confidence, but if you listen to the medics, you can still infer something for yourself. Firstly, a carbon filter makes sense. Secondary, the labels antibacterial or anything similar are purely marketing tactics. All filters have long stopped being made from paper. It's prohibited by certain regulations. It's in paper that bacteria dwell. And they lived? Now all filters are made of non-woven synthetic material. In Russian, microorganisms do not live there. To put it bluntly, I like it. Any modern filter is antibacterial, simply because it is not made of paper. But not everyone knows about it. Just money, nothing personal, something like that. Okay, we can talk about this for a long time. Let's move on to installing a new filter. Open the passenger door, remove the protective cover. Here everything can be done with an ordinary screwdriver. It is easy to remove, then pick up the piston itself. Take out the sidewall. Additionally, it is held by 2 clamps, but they snap off almost effortlessly. Then we see this picture so that you understand. These are the traces of the repair of the air conditioning unit. Unfortunately, when I bought a car in the winter, of course, I didn't check the air conditioning. Well, why, it's winter, right? Well, complete disassembly of the torpedo, soldering the evaporator, air conditioning, refueling, diagnostics. A couple of weeks without a car if you don't want to check the air conditioner when buying. No big deal, $170 will solve this problem. Just need to be more careful. Also, for those interested, the air conditioning unit on this Peugeot is this box, which houses 2 small radiators, hot and cold. Intelligent dampers and sensors help regulate air temperature. This particular setup can be dismantled in regular cars. They typically consist of 2 halves. On the Peugeot 308, however, it's factory soldered, meaning it'll need to be cut and then patched up via soldering or gluing. In short, it's not a simple job. Not all mechanics will even tackle it, and if there's a mishap, if something goes wrong and there's a leak, you could face problems, potentially big ones. I've been driving for over 5 months since the repair. Everything has been fine, though I had a diligent mechanic. Breakdowns like these are rare, at least in regular cars. You can buy things like the heater radiator or the air conditioning evaporator separately for a Peugeot 38. The climate control unit is one complete part together with the radiators. It's not broken down into components. As of the summer of 2021, it costs around $1,300 US. Plus, you'll have to find one. You'll also need to wait for it. On the bright side, the climate control units rarely break down. The heater's radiator or the evaporator are also pretty good. It would be unusual for them to break even once in the car's entire service life. That's why it's hidden away so far. So on this vehicle already, everything is fine. If anything, I can recommend a good mechanic in Belarus. That's where this seam of glue came from. Maybe the reason for the failure was that apparently only 1 filter was installed in the car. Only 1, when there should have been 2. In Russian. I drove for about a month without a cabin filter at all. Strange but true. Okay, let's grab the Star 20 Torx bit and remove the screw. Then open the cover and take out the 2 filters. My case, as you can see, the filter is worn out. I think it's definitely more than a year old. Some people's filters have been even worse. I bought a new filter from the Man Company. I've used their products before, and I have nothing but good things to say. Excellent filters. The manufacturer thoughtfully included instructions, explaining which side goes where and how to install it. It's a small detail, but it's nice. Look, this is how you correctly install the filter elements. It's as straightforward as can be. The arrow for airflow should be pointing towards us. That makes sense. If the tab is not on the lower right, there will be nothing to grab onto, and it'll be awkward to install. So, there aren't many ways you can turn it. Logically, there's only one. First, put in the top one and lift it up. Then get the second filter element. The tab on the top one should overlap the bottom one. Just like mine, at the end, bend the tab on the bottom one. Everything's basically already set with the filter element. We're duplicating what I've already mentioned. Everything's good to go. We're tightening the screw, getting it installed. We're setting the shield, the retainer cover. To be objective, the replacement procedure is super simple and convenient. Props to Peugeot for that. If you thought that was it, you'd be mistaken. During all these manipulations, I noticed that a pipe was branching out from the air conditioning unit, but it didn't lead anywhere. I think you've probably guessed that it's the cooling for the glove compartment. And honestly, this is where I was stumped. Either I have a base model and I'm not meant to have it. Yet in the glove compartment, there actually is an intake with a flow regulator, or the previous owner somehow misplaced this pipe along with a second filter, which is the more likely scenario. If anyone's encountered a similar situation, I'm going to demonstrate what this pipe could be constructed from, cheaply speaking. For this, we will need some polypropylene adapters. All these standard items can easily be purchased at any hardware store. So, we'll be needing a rubber adapter collar for 32mm, a 90-degree elbow with a 32mm diameter, a little bit of 32mm pipe to connect with the adapter, 32 by 20, then the 20th pipe, an elbow under 45 degrees, 20th pipe elbow at 90 degrees. At the end, there's a 20mm adapter coupling. Its tip is literally filed down by 1.5mm. Well, everything, of course, all this is easy to do, provided that you either have a polypropylene welding machine or can get your hands on one. All the other components are cheap. I heated this corner up a bit, it was brushing up against the wall a little. Everything is ready. And as the cherry on top, we paint everything black to match the color of the interior. Well, that's not required. That's basically the story. I hope that it was helpful and interesting. Thank you for watching. Good luck on the roads, and goodbye everyone.